Got your back because you need it.
New footage involving Pooh Shiesty and NBA Youngboy is exploding across social media, sending fans into a frenzy and dragging their long-running tension back into the spotlight. With Shiesty fresh out of prison and the OTF 4KT rivalry heating up again, everyone wants to know what this new clip means. In this video, we break down the real story behind the buzz. Pooh Shiesty returns, a career restart that shifts the energy. Pooh Shiesty stepped back into daylight on October 6, 2025, 3 years after entering federal custody. There were no cameras or crowds, just a man walking out after serving the majority of a 63-month sentence for a firearms conspiracy case that reshaped his life and career. He did not go home. He went to a halfway house, the required bridge between confinement and the unfamiliar freedom waiting outside. Here, routines tightened around him again. Check-ins, curfews, counseling, the slow process of re-entering a world that had kept moving without him. Yet even in that controlled setting, his name was already slipping back into the music conversation. Because Shiesty did not return to an empty landscape. He returned to a rap world where alliances still mattered and where old tensions had never fully dissolved. His long-standing association with Lil Durk and OTF had placed him, fairly or unfairly, on one side of a rivalry that had defined headlines for years. But before the prison gates closed behind him in 2022, this tension had lived mostly in shadows. Indirect comments, fan speculation. A song like Back in Blood, whose interpretation spiraled beyond anything Shiesty publicly acknowledged. The feud with NBA Youngboy's circle existed, but it drifted, more atmospheric than explicit. Yet the truth wasn't so simple. Every shift in the Durk-Youngboy rivalry rippled outward, catching artists like Shiesty whether they wanted it or not. When he aligned with OTF, the public drew connections. When he stayed silent, the public filled in the gaps. So when news broke that he was free, earlier than expected, released for good behavior, it didn't just signal the return of an artist. It signaled the return of a figure positioned, willingly or not, inside one of rap's most entrenched divides. Still, one question lingered. What version of Pooh Shiesty was walking back into the industry? A man determined to rebuild his career from the ground up? Or someone stepping into a storm that had been gathering while he was gone? What happened next would show that freedom wasn't the end of his story, only the pressure point where everything began shifting again. Like Chucky, the first clear public shot, the first unmistakable sign that Pooh Shiesty's return would alter the existing landscape arrived on November 27, 2025. On that day, he released a new single titled Like Chucky, a track that immediately drew attention not for its sonic choices, but for the resolve embedded in its lyrics. After 3 years behind bars and weeks in a halfway house, Shiesty chose to re-emerge with a statement piece, one that positioned him firmly within an ongoing rivalry that had been swelling long before he regained his freedom.
Big brother, nigga, you know what's going on. We fuck with audio hidden when we down here in the D, man. Come fuck with them, they got the best shit. Brr.
From the opening lines, it became clear that, like Chucky, was not a routine comeback release. Shiesty used the record to reaffirm his loyalty to Lil Durk and the OTF camp, a relationship that had shaped both his rise and his public identity. For years, this association placed him on one side of a polarizing divide in rap, but he had never articulated that stance so explicitly in his music. The track's tone was assertive, steady, and confident, reflecting an artist who had spent years confined, yet emerged with sharpened conviction rather than diluted intent. The lyrics did not mention NBA Youngboy directly, nor did they reference the 4KT circle by name. However, the atmosphere surrounding the song shifted the moment it dropped. Fans heard the inflections, the coded language, and the broader context woven beneath the surface. They recognized patterns in his delivery and aligned them with the long-running tension between OTF and Youngboy's camp. Rap outlets quickly followed, interpreting the track as Shiesty's first clear step into a public confrontation that had previously hovered in speculation rather than concrete expression. Yet the truth was more layered. For years, the perceived rift between Shiesty and Youngboy lived in ambiguity, fueled by fan assumptions rather than direct exchanges. Like Chucky, altered that equilibrium. Without naming individuals, Shiesty crafted a song that signaled allegiance, intention, and readiness to stand inside a conflict that had existed around him for nearly half a decade. The absence of explicit references did not soften the impact. If anything, it added a sense of controlled precision. The timing of the release amplified its weight. Shiesty had been free for less than 2 months, and the rap world was already examining his every move. By choosing to plant his flag through music rather than interviews or social media, he shifted the conversation onto artistic ground. In doing so, he set in motion a new chapter in a rivalry whose contours were already etched into the culture. What unfolded next would depend not only on Shiesty's intentions, but on how the industry, the audience, and the opposing camp interpreted the signal he had just sent. How the tension started, 2020-2021 foundations. To understand the current tension surrounding Pooh Shiesty and NBA Youngboy, the story must return to the years when their paths had not yet crossed directly, but the environment around them was already shifting. The foundation of their perceived conflict was never built on personal exchanges. Instead, it formed around affiliations, moments that went viral, and the wider landscape of rap rivalries that defined the early 2020s. In this climate, even silence carried weight. The first major anchor point arrived in 2020, when Pooh Shiesty released Back in Blood with Lil Durk. The track was not only a breakout hit, but a cultural flashpoint. It operated within a moment when OTF and Youngboy's 4KT camp were already circling each other in the public eye. Although the song did not name specific individuals, it quickly became interpreted through the lens of that rivalry. The media dissected its lines, fans built narratives around it, and the track took on a symbolic role far beyond what its creator stated outright. Shiesty did not initiate the tension, but his presence beside Durk positioned him clearly within that ecosystem.
She been collecting dust, man. She been collecting dust, man. We don't ride with no tags, you know I ain't bleeping nothing out. Nigga, I'm CEO. Fuck you tell me. She been collecting dust on nothing, man. We got she collecting dust on again. What we doing? What's up, my?
Around the same time, an unexpected set of clips added fuel to the conversation. Yaya Mayweather, NBA Youngboy's then girlfriend, was recorded in multiple clubs reacting negatively when Back in Blood played. The moments were brief and ambiguous, but once the footage reached social media, it spread rapidly. By 2021, these clips were part of a larger online narrative that framed the song as a point of friction between the camps. The reactions were small, but the attention they received magnified them into something far larger than their original context. Then came the broader event that reshaped the landscape, the 2020 killing of King Von, an artist closely tied to Lil Durk. The incident involved Quando Rondo, who was known publicly as an associate of NBA Youngboy. Although neither Youngboy nor Shiesty was involved, the tragedy deepened the divide between their larger circles. The public began treating the two camps as opposing sides of a conflict that had expanded beyond music and into personal loss. Through all of this, Shiesty remained a rising artist aligned with OTF, and that alignment alone drew him into the conversation. He did not exchange words with Youngboy, nor did he issue statements about the situation. Yet the environment made neutrality nearly impossible. By the end of 2021, the perception of tension existed before either artist had addressed each other directly. What happened in the years that followed would show that indirect pressure can be just as consequential as open conflict. Rumors, misconceptions, and a mostly quiet feud. For years, the tension between Pooh Shiesty and NBA Youngboy existed more in perception than in reality. Online discussions, fan theories, and social media speculation amplified even the smallest interactions, creating an impression of conflict that the artists themselves largely avoided. In many ways, the narrative took on a life of its own, detached from the verified actions or statements of those involved. One of the earliest rumors suggested that Shiesty had instructed DJs to avoid playing Youngboy's songs at events. This claim circulated widely on social media and within fan circles, often cited as evidence of a growing rift. Yet reports from later years revealed a more nuanced reality. While incarcerated, Shiesty was observed listening to NBA Youngboy's music in the confines of his cell.
I got a problem. Grown man. Play with one of them little boys. Play with your kids, you play with your bitch. Don't play with no grown man. Play with your dick. What you talking about? Oh yeah. Breaking news, y'all. Breaking news. Studio.
The contrast highlighted a crucial point. Any tension suggested by the rumors was inconsistent and likely amplified by fans seeking drama rather than reflecting personal animosity. Shiesty himself addressed the matter publicly on multiple occasions, emphasizing that he held no personal issues with Youngboy. His statements underscored the distinction between his affiliations and personal feelings, a line often blurred in public discourse. By separating loyalty to OTF from direct hostility toward Youngboy, Shiesty positioned himself in a complex space where perception and reality diverged sharply. In 2024, the divide between speculation and fact became even clearer. A direct message supposedly involving Youngboy's ex, Jania Meshel, surfaced online and was attributed to Shiesty. Rather than responding in kind, he clarified that the message was hacked and false, dismissing the claim entirely. The incident illustrated how persistent fan narratives could misrepresent intentions and how misinformation could shape public opinion even when contradicted by direct evidence. The story of Shiesty and Youngboy during this period is not one of overt conflict, but of quiet misinterpretation. Years of speculation, viral clips, and online chatter created the perception of a feud, while the artists themselves remained largely disengaged. Shiesty's careful distancing, his attention to facts over rumors, and his measured public statements maintained a fragile boundary between affiliation and hostility. Ultimately, the quiet nature of this period demonstrates a larger truth. The feud existed in the eyes of the audience more than in the actions of those it concerned. For Shiesty and Youngboy, the years leading up to 2025 were defined by distance, observation, and public misperception rather than confrontation. Yet even in this quiet, the foundation for future tension was quietly accumulating. Why it's heating up now? The Durk versus Youngboy landscape. The tension surrounding Pooh Shiesty cannot be understood without considering the broader feud between Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy, a rivalry that has unfolded over years and through deeply personal events. Their conflict has been shaped not only by diss tracks and public statements, but also by tragic losses within their respective circles. The death of King Von, a close associate of Durk, in 2020 became a defining moment, intensifying the divide and embedding it further into the consciousness of fans and the industry alike. Over time, this rivalry has manifested in lyrical barbs, social media exchanges, and alliances, creating a landscape where every move by associated artists carries heightened scrutiny. Shiesty's connection to Lil Durk and the OTF collective situates him firmly within one side of this ongoing conflict. Even during his incarceration, this affiliation defined public perception of his position in the rap ecosystem. While Shiesty himself largely avoided direct engagement with Youngboy, his loyalty to OTF inherently aligned him with Durk's camp. In the context of an industry where affiliations are often as significant as individual actions, this association made Shiesty a figure of interest whenever the feud resurfaced. His return to the music scene in 2025 changed the dynamic subtly but decisively. The release of Like Chucky served as the first explicit public articulation of his support for Durk, marking a shift from quiet association to vocal alignment. Although the track did not directly confront Youngboy, its timing and content signaled a renewed engagement with the tension surrounding OTF and 4KT. Fans and industry observers quickly connected the dots, interpreting the song as Shiesty stepping into a feud that had previously existed largely in the background. Yet the truth of the situation remains complex. Shiesty and Youngboy have not exchanged direct attacks, and there has been no confirmed personal confrontation. Still, the historical context, combined with Shiesty's strategic re-entry, created an atmosphere where speculation thrives. What had once been indirect associations and rumors now carried a weightier presence, as audiences reassessed Shiesty's position within the ongoing Durk-Youngboy divide. In this sense, 2025 represents more than a return from prison. It is the moment when Shiesty's actions intersected with a long-standing feud, reigniting public attention and heightening the perceived stakes. His alignment with OTF, through both loyalty and music, transformed him from a background figure into a focal point within a rivalry that continues to shape hip-hop narratives today. The story of Pooh Shiesty and NBA Youngboy is not simply one of rivalry or headlines. It is a reflection of loyalty, loss, and the weight of associations in a world where every connection carries consequence. Careers are shaped as much by perception as by action, and moments of silence often speak louder than the loudest diss. As fans and observers, we witness the ripple effects of choices, alliances, and histories that extend beyond the music. What happens when loyalty and ambition collide? The answer is still unfolding. Share your thoughts below.